Thanks, Tony. Thank you. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, my name's Nagbea. I'll just give you a little background to some of the work that we did from it was in the 90s really, 91 to 97. We set up, myself and probably about 12 other people, we set up a bookshop and a library, largely because, as Carl and Anthony sort of mentioned, racism was a big feature of us, you know, black youth growing up in the 70s, 80s and 90s. And we'd come to the conclusion really that we were missing a piece of our education. The education system that we'd gone through didn't really equip us to understand the society that we lived in. So we went about forming and building a bookshop to give us some of the missing pieces. I actually say to everybody here as well, the posters that are on the back, there's 140 books on the posters, and they're free for people to take away at the end of this event and hopefully put them on your walls and in your offices to have a look at some of the things that helped us to basically find out the missing piece of who we were. You know, like, so in order that we could actually do the things that we're all going to be doing in the future, the society that we live in, because we were really miseducated in our initial education experience. So we remedied that by running that bookshop as volunteers for about seven years, unpaid, unfunded. I think a lot of people, probably several people in this room, would have come in and borrowed books, videotapes, CDs from us. We managed to make some trips to Africa and America. We won the Million Man March in the 95. A group of people went to Washington to stand alongside and support a brother who's been on death row since the 70s. And as Anthony mentioned also, a lot of brothers suffered miscarriages of justice and were incarcerated for long periods of time. The exhibition that we ran in October, we counted up the years that Winston Silcock, Satpal Ram, the M25-3 spent in incarceration. It was 58 years. 58 years of those men's lives were stolen from them. And we as friends, family, having met some of the families of those brothers, supported and kept their experience in the public eye in order to win justice. And it took, it took probably 20 years was the longest the time that was stolen from Winston Silcock. So it's important that we, as Carl mentioned, that we understand that like the events that we are building are going to take time. It's legacy. I'm 66 now. This is, you know, the bookshop was 30 odd years ago. The work I'm going to be doing in the future is, I was shocked to find out that Bradford has never had a black councillor. It's never had a black councillor. Partly by design, because our community has been dispersed across the city. Numerically, we're all over different parts of the city in small numbers. So that makes it very difficult for us to produce a collective voice and some representation and to find representatives. Now, the area I'm standing in has only got 1.6% Caribbean people living in that area, and African people. So my chances of winning that first election are very small. But it's more importantly is I'm hoping that my experience I'm going to feed back into the wider community, and some of the areas that I know we could probably do a lot better, we're going to work on developing that representation. And I think whichever area of Bradford people lived in, if you look on the table at the back with the posters, we've got there's 14 candidates standing in different parts of Bradford as independents, because unfortunately the political leadership that we have at the moment is just not fit for purpose for anybody. You know, they're morally abdicated responsibility for really intervening and saying something of substance about the fact that a genocide is taking place. As we sit here in Palestine at the moment, people are dying in droves. But not only, that particular war, whilst being significant in the fact that we've seen it, there's been 285 wars like that since 1945 that we've largely been oblivious to. So it's a permanent feature of the world we live in, that war, every 4 months, somewhere on the globe, there's a war. And it's down to us now, really, to, like many of the speakers said, the change that we need to see for the future, won't come from any of the existing places that we look for that change. It's going to come from here. It's going to come from outside here. And when we start to understand that, we have to hold to account the people that are representing us and make them deliver what they should be delivering. And in the sort of immediate time, we're going to have this year there's going to be 2 elections in Bradford, a local election and a general election. And I just urge everybody to, regardless of past voting patterns, look at the people that are putting themselves forward to represent you, and look for the people that are from the community that you live in, and that when you get them on the platforms, they are going to represent you. And then your job, having done that at that point in time, is to make sure that they do represent you. And if they don't, get rid of them and get somebody that does. That's all I'd like to say. Thanks very much. Thanks, Tony.